Hey, gentlemen, how are you now?
What up?
Good, and you?
Oh, not so bad. What's up? Welcome everyone to the THF Extra Point, the podcast that talks football. Um, sorry, I trailed off there.
What's up?
Um,
Not Dabs' internet
yeah.
for starters.
Dabs is having some technical problems, so we've got an empty square at the moment, but that's all right. The show must go on, they say. I think the show must go on. If he gets in, he gets in. If not, great. I've got his bracket for the playoffs, so we're set. Hopefully, he'll be able to join us here shortly. They're getting some goofy weather. It's jacking with his interwebs. So, gentlemen, how did Week 18 in the NFL go for you?
I missed all my parlays.
Ooh, that's not a. This was a rough week to bet for betting because you never knew who was going to play a whole game, who was going to get benched, what teams weren't frankly even going to show up.
I screwed up my Cleveland bet. I ran a 4-leg parlay. I had Jacksonville losing. I had Baltimore losing. Let me just pull it up. I had Cleveland losing. Cleveland winning.
Nice.
And
So far, sounds great.
yeah, it looked great until Cleveland lost. They got blown out. So much for the second coming of Joe Flacco.
Well, Flacco didn't play, right?
Who started?
I'm
Flacco
pretty
was
sure
one of the.
that they
Yeah,
benched.
that's why I picked
That's probably
Cincinnati
why.
to win that game because Flacco was not starting.
When did they make that decision? Because Dabs chose Cleveland on the money line.
I don't think they played him at all that game because they already clinched the spot.
I know, but when did they decide to not start him?
It was either Thursday or early Friday.
I should have known.
Yeah, I can't remember, but I got the word that he was. That's what, and apparently I'm one of the only ones that got that message because most everybody did pick Cleveland in our weekly pick'ems in the community too. In fact, I was the only one of the four of us that picked Cincinnati. Didn't help me win, but I at least I had one genius move.
Man, I can't even we can't even pile on Dabs because he's not here yet. For him placing the worst out of all of us. Oh, look at that! His ears were ringing.
Man. What up, shit?
We were just talking lots of shit. Actually, we were getting started.
I was
to talk
able
lots
to
of shit.
pull it up. I
But
was
we
using
felt-
data on my phone. To
We
pull
felt
up you guys
bad
so
because
that
you
could
weren't
stay
here
in
to
the
talk
loop.
shit about. So we were just pointing out that you were the worst at pick'ems out of the four of us, or I was pointing
Was
out
I?
because I
Season-wise-
wasn't. So that's a win in my book.
Here, we'll go ahead and just bring that up so the chat knows what we're talking about here. We got for the four of us, I kept tabs on how we did for the entire season. So that's the four of us going across the top, and so we all give Janu here a round of applause, taking the top spot, 175 correct over the course of the season.
Nice.
Dabs.
Now, how many total?
It was
272.
272. Right? Yeah. That's exactly what it was. 272 total games for an entire year, and 175 right for Janu. 172 for myself. 3 picks, 1.1% behind Janu. Oh, I was so close. And I wasn't
first or last
at one point. I was in first place towards the end of the season, and I got kind of hyped about that, and I probably shouldn't have.
Too big for your britches.
Yep. That's exactly right. And there goes Firestorm with a great week. Came in second place for the week, but
just to solidify my win. That's all. My not placing last. That's all I cared about.
I do like the fact that we're all over 50% though. Like I feel like that's kind of you don't want to miss more than you win over the course of an entire season. So the fact that we're all above 50%, I think is pretty decent. Like I have to go look at some like pros, you know. They have all the shows where they show what they've done for the season long and stuff like that. I wonder where we fall. I would like to know that. You know, like what do the pros get?
I think they're about in the 70% range at least.
70, you think?
Yeah, I've like looked it up before and seen people like with their odds, but last time I looked was like weeks ago, so I don't know what it would be like in the season.
Yeah. This week was a really tricky one, honestly, because like we just got done discussing, everybody had Cleveland winning. Probably those were a lot of easy early picks would be Cleveland, but as the week went along, you got the news that Joe Flacco was sitting, and it was
Driscoll
Cincinnati.
played. Joe Driscoll.
Yeah, I completely missed that. Completely
Cincinnati
missed
was a
it.
pretty easy pick for me, honestly.
So did I. I didn't catch the news.
Yeah, because we would have changed the parlay also.
Yeah, well, that's why I was asking on Friday, you know, are we sure this is what we're putting it in? You know, behind the scenes, sometimes we discuss and maybe change our parlays up, and I was trying to get y'all to, like, are you sure? Double check. Do you still think that's a good bet? But we didn't change anything, so what we get? We got two out of 4, right? Or 1 out of 4?
Oh, it was just CD Lamb. That's all.
Damn. Ouch.
Yep. Run that one into the ground, I guess. But
Hey, TD Lamb though paid off at like clockwork 2 times this week. Yeah, you mean TD Lamb, of course. Q-Swin says that anything's better than his fantasy football record, and I'll have to agree with
that's a
that.
fair point.
CD Lamb is a grown man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll just start with the Cowboys game. We'll just knock that out real quick. Cowboys handled business. Washington was exactly who we thought they were. They were not too hard to dismiss in the end. And I did not see the team that gave Philly fits twice this season, or even actually like did well for the first half against San Francisco. Like this team, we handled them. I think the boys were ready to just get that one done and get on to the playoffs, and they did. While the opposite happened in New York. Do you guys see how that implosion by Philly?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Eagles
you
got
gotta-
something going on.
A study that fall off. I mean, that's crazy.
Guys, we were talking about them being like a pretty steady, like bad fall off since they, you know, last week. Last week we had a good conversation about how insane it is that they fell off. I didn't think they could fall off any more than what we were talked about last week until I saw that game against New York. Come on. Like, where were they? I think
Nowhere.
still waiting for him to show up to that game.
Yeah,
They
it's
also had a lot of
definite fall
injuries.
from grace.
Swift wasn't playing. He probably would have been okay to play, but he didn't have to, so they kept him out. Probably be back, but
And Hurts
still.
dislocated his finger.
Yeah,
he
and
has
then AJ
that.
Brown
And then
too,
AJ
right?
Brown was down. It ended up not being serious, I don't think, but he was out for a bit of that game, and Devontae Smith, of course. So pretty much everyone in their whole team, plus
entire offense was banged up.
they've already been
but-
playing bad, and then now they have injuries. So, like I was telling him, I think they're going to be gone in the first round of the playoffs. I would be surprised if not.
Baker's
Baker's
locked
gonna beat him.
in, practicing with his in his pocket today.
I love Baker Mayfield.
Dude,
I wouldn't say it's going to be a super easy game because still the Bucks, but I feel pretty confident that they're going to win that game.
Well, we're going to get into the playoff bracket here in just a little bit. Whatever games happened in 18 before we move on to that that you guys saw? I mean, the big one for me is Jacksonville. Like Philadelphia
Tennessee
not
knocked them
showing
off.
up.
I
Obviously,
told the
told you
Dabs
they
to pick.
split the
I
series.
told the Dabs and pick Tennessee, and it worked. I don't know why Dabs didn't pick it. Usually there's two people picking Tennessee. It's me on occasion and Dabs every week. So like,
I
what
thought there
happened?
was
You
no
gave up
way
on your team, buddy, and then
The
and then
Titans
they
are fine.
kick Vrabel to the curb.
Yeah, next Patriots
Dude, that
coach.
was
The next
sick,
Patriots
bro.
head coach. Yes, sir.
There's
yeah,
so many
probably.
things that needed to happen for the Steelers to get into the playoffs, and they
And
fucking
somehow it
got in.
happened.
Yeah,
They always weasel their way in every year.
the Jacksonville meltdown was huge, though. I mean, they weren't playing a team that had anything to play for.
That's
except
that
for Spoiler.
that quarterback, that first round quarterback draft class is cursed. I'm telling you. Everyone said Trevor Lawrence, he's the second coming of Christ. He's going to be a generational quarterback.
Dude,
And
he's
he
been
really hasn't
overhyped
shown
since
it.
high school. He's been
He-
literally overhyped since his high school clips. He's been
He really
carried
hasn't
from
shown
there.
it. And I know like towards the end of the season he was banged up a little bit, but like
And he's one of those quarterbacks that like never even lost a game until he got to the NFL, right? Isn't that his backstory?
yeah, I mean in
Didn't he have
college
a
he was
perfect record in college and high school?
he was playing behind an NFL grade O line. Like, and he was throwing bombs. So he had a wicked culture shock when he got into the NFL.
Yeah,
and he just
because
really
especially playing for Jacksonville, right?
yeah. So he just really hasn't taken. I mean, they should have walked away with that division. Like I know CJ Stroud came in and completely flipped everything upside down, but realistically, he's 3 years in. He's not a rookie anymore. The Urban Meyer, it's not necessarily an excuse, but that is a factor. But keep in mind, he was injured his rookie year. He didn't really play super much under Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
So, but that whole draft class. Look, you have Trevor Lawrence, you have Zach Wilson, you have Mac Jones, Justin Fields, and we really don't know about Trey Lance yet because he hasn't played. But
yeah,
I feel like he hasn't played this long. We know about Trey Lance.
I mean, we're definitely gonna want to see what happens, what he does next year. Does he at least leapfrog Cooper Rush and move into the number 2 spot in Dallas, or because Dallas has him next year too, right?
I think it was a 2-year deal.
Yeah, so I think he's here.
But it was pennies on the dollar for. I mean, they did trade. It was a trade, but it
was 7,
kind of undervalued for a first round pick.
Yeah,
it wasn't 7.
So, yeah. A lot of things went right for Dallas this season. Keep in mind, last year, Dak got injured. He was out for 5 games. And Cooper Rush jumped in and did a great job for the most part.
Yeah, he won 4 of them.
So it's a good thing that Dallas has depth at the quarterback position. But what does that do for Trey Lance? The jury's still out. It was the same story with Jordan Love. He sat on the bench for multiple seasons, and now he's coming back with Green Bay, and they're in the playoffs this season.
Yeah, I mean,
but
year
Dak's a lot younger than Aaron Rodgers was in Green Bay.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, not when Love first got there, did he?
I don't know.
Dak's already been in the league. What this is year 5?
No, year 3 or
Is
year
it
4.
3? It's at least 4.
He's not still on his rookie deal, is he?
Yes, he is.
No, he
Dak
got
is still on his
another
rookie deal?
he got a big contract.
If he got another contract, he's at least in year 5.
Yo, chat, verify this.
How long he's
Jordan,
been in
fact check it.
NFL?
Love
He
draft.
got drafted in 2016.
Oh, jeez, my God.
So he sat for six years.
Jeez.
Shit.
He got drafted in 2016.
Says he's played 8 seasons.
Jordan Love.
Yeah,
For the Green Bay Packers.
That's what I was like. At least 5.
We're talking about.
No, I was
Are you
talking about
talking
Dak though.
No,
Yeah, I
we're
was talking about Dak.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Dak is in 16.
Yeah.
So he's only been in the
Love
league.
was Jordan Love was 2020 Okay, that makes
Okay,
more sense. That makes. I was like, what the? It's like, what are you guys talking about? But yeah, Dak has been. This is his
That
eighth
motherfucker's
eighth
old.
year.
Okay, so 8 years,
Whoa. Sorry
barring
about
any
that, Jeff.
serious injury, he's got probably another 8.
Dak.
Who?
Oh yeah,
Given
Dak?
if he doesn't fall off talent wise or injury, if he just natural progression, I think he has another 8 years. So Trey Lance, I think, is more of like a Dak don't fuck up, or we're gonna start this guy.
Yeah, I mean, at least
I don't
for
think so.
the next 2 years, but or at least
No.
another year. But I mean, he had an MVP caliber season this year. He doesn't get. He's beyond getting benched anytime soon.
That's what I'm saying. So what's
he could
Trey
have-
Lance? What's
yeah. But keep in mind, this season was an anomaly compared to his average.
No, this season was better, like closer to his average than last year was.
And the last 3 seasons he wasn't, he was turning over like a machine. So this season, obviously his
2020,
best
he had
season.
4 interceptions.
Okay, regardless, I don't think they
and
drafted
37 touchdowns.
I don't think they. I really don't think they traded for Trey Lance to be like, Dak, don't fuck up, because the discussion last year was Cooper Rush was going to take over for him. He was going to hold the position when he was out on injury.
Very
So
No,
I
that
really
was
think
all hyperbole. That
I think it
nobody
was a good-
ever gonna put Cooper Rush in it. He was never. It was always still Dak's job,
no one's going to replace Dak with Trey Lance though.
and nobody.
No.
Yeah, nobody.
But we
was gonna
don't,
replace
'cause-
him with Cooper Rush either.
I think the acquisition of Trey Lance by the Cowboys was just, they saw value, they got him for a bargain, and that's all there is to it. He's a first rounder. They really don't know anything about him, and given that Dak got injured last year, they wanted to increase the depth. That's what I think it is. But you really haven't seen him. Trey Lance hasn't played. He hasn't played pretty much at all. There's really no assessment of him.
Yeah, he only had a few games in San Francisco before he got hurt.
So I think it's
He's
kind of
made millions.
I think that's hyperbolic to say that, oh, they traded for Trey Lance to be the Dak replacement. I don't think that's the case. Not and that proves your point as well, that Dak doesn't need to be replaced.
Yeah,
So
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, he's.
I think they just saw a good bargain. That's why Mac Jones, when he gets let go next season, he's still first round talent. Even though he's bad, he's still gonna be a backup somewhere. He's gonna be a bench warmer somewhere.
He's a
Yeah,
backup or a bridge. He'll be a bridge quarterback too for some of those teams that
He won't be a bridge. He
Yeah,
can't
you
be a
don't think
bridge.
so?
He's not. He's not a starting caliber quarterback. Unless
I think he's shown enough on some of those games that people might, somebody that's having real quarterback issues that isn't going to get lucky in the draft this year, they could pull him into a starting position.
I agree, but he's not
and-
going to be Geno Smith. He's not
No,
going to.
No.
He's not even going to be.
Well,
he's
he
not-
could be. It's not like Geno Smith did that. Yeah, I mean,
National
I don't
doesn't
know.
really the national picture doesn't really cover and focus on Mac Jones like we do in New England,
same
because
for Dallas and Cleveland, same thing.
because we focus on him heavily. And if you look at things like the fundamentals, he's always throwing off his back foot. He can't keep his eyes downfield. And I know the O-line was Swiss cheese this season, but he's making poor decisions, and he's basically immobile in the pocket. Where Bailey Zappi came in, and Bailey Zappi's bad. He's not a good quarterback by any means. He was able to keep his eyes downfield a little better, and he was a little more mobile in the pocket. But his arm was weaker than Max. He was still throwing interceptions left and right. There are a lot of factors at hand, but at the end of the day, Mac Jones is a first rounder. He was 15th overall, and Kyle Shanahan wanted him. So that in and of itself has some value.
San Francisco needs a backup.
I think Mac Jones and Zach Wilson are kind of one and the same. They could potentially go somewhere and potentially be given.
I think Zach Wilson's better than Mac.
Mac Jones is better. I was going to say Mac's better than Zach Wilson.
I don't think so. I disagree.
No?
Nope. I think
Okay.
Zach Jones. They're one and the same essentially, but Zach Wilson is more athletic, and
Yeah,
if he
that's
can
true,
if he can get reined in, if he can actually get a full season of learning from Aaron Rodgers, and then go somewhere with a quarterback savvy coach, I think he's still a starter. Where Mac,
There's already been a bleach.
he'll
Go
be
ahead,
lucky
sorry.
if he's a backup. Same with Bailey Zappi. I think Bailey Zappi proved that he's worthy of being a backup, but not much else.
We're spending a lot of time talking about a bunch of backups because I mean we were all hyped about the Dominator and look how that worked out.
Who? Okay, hang on a second.
Quarterback talk is important going. Quarterback talk is important going into these playoffs, though. And it all started off.
Not when we're talking about teams that aren't in the playoffs.
It proves
Tennessee's fucked. I mean, they're done. Derrick Henry's gone. Vrabel's gone. Will Levis will be the quarterback. Rebuild.
Yeah, but it's not a full rebuild.
No,
it's not even a full. It's not a full rebuild in New England either.
Yeah, we're probably in the same boat. I would say,
which is crazy.
Yeah,
maybe we'll just swap coaches.
They might.
He won't. Belichick will not go to Tennessee. No shot.
Nah, I think
he's more likely if Dallas gets bounced in the first or second round. He's more likely to go to Dallas because Jerry Jones is a crazy son of a gun, and he'll say, "Here, Bill, have $30 million, win us a Super Bowl." And with that roster and that defense, keep in mind, Bill Belichick wanted Micah Parsons in place of Mac Jones, and Kraft basically said, "If you don't draft a quarterback, you're fired."
Mike McCarthy single-handedly took a quarterback that a lot of people wanted to bench and thought was washed up and ready to go, and made him have an MVP caliber season. Mike McCarthy's job is 1,000% safe in Dallas.
Oh, I like Mike McCarthy.
I don't think so.
It's 1,000%, bro.
I don't know. I think if they lose in the playoffs again, that he's on the chopping block because they're not getting rid of Dak. The defense is S tier. The offense is S tier, and the coach is always the one that takes the fall.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Nobody's going to take the fall. He's had 3 12-5 seasons in a row.
And they have not made an NFC championship. Never mind a Super Bowl.
They have had minor success in the playoffs. I agree. But it's still, I mean, there's plenty of teams that go to the playoffs multiple years in a row. You got that microscope
Buffalo.
Hardcore focus on Dallas.
There's lots of teams
that do that.
It can't be both because the regular season doesn't matter if you don't do anything in the playoffs.
Yeah, over a long enough period of time, but over 3 years, having very successful seasons and getting bounced 2 years in a row to San Francisco, who everybody says is the best team in the league, it's still a successful season. He's not going to get bounced until it's a disappointment. The season's a true disappointment. The whole body of work. If you're talking about just the playoffs, yeah, it's real easy to say get rid of him. But, I mean, you brought him in here to win a Super Bowl, and he's getting closer and closer. Now he had to 12 the first 12. A great 12-5 winning season 3 years ago. Last year he had a 12-5 season again and bounced Tom Brady out of the playoffs in the first round. Now this year he's expected to take it a little bit further, and I think we've got a really good shot at doing that. So even if we don't win a Super Bowl, even if we don't win an NFC championship, Mike McCarthy's not going anywhere. He's consistently moving ahead, and along with the fact that he took Dak from leading the league in interceptions to leading the league in touchdowns the next year, Mike McCarthy's job, he's golden, bro. He's the one coach that won't get fired this season.
Vrabel had a winning record. He had 2 subpar seasons, and they fucking kicked him to the curb. 3 years ago, he was in the AFC Championship.
But he was
one game
seasons.
away from
Mark McCarthy hasn't. That's what I'm trying to say.
But what I'm saying is that he's had postseason success. He's had that postseason success gotten right. I mean, if I remember correctly, they were like a few plays from winning that AFC Championship. I think it was against Cincinnati, wasn't it, or Kansas City? No, we beat Kansas City at their.
Yeah, you lost to Cincinnati.
We lost Cincinnati AFC Championship. Yes. So what I'm saying is to Ray's point, and to you, both of yours, is you got to look at the whole picture though, because Vrabel had postseason success, but subpar regular season sometimes. They bye.
Yeah, but
so
and
you never
on the other
know.
side of that coin,
Let's talk about
look at Mike Tomlin.
Mike
Mike
McCarthy's
Tomlin
still
gets
going
into
up.
he gets into
Vrabel went down.
That's true.
You know, his moment he was
But his
trending
talent
down.
and his roster went down too.
Yeah, but
When you
and
have
there's
your
a possibility
GM wanted,
season also. There's no guarantee that the offense and the defense, the team as a whole, stays at the caliber they are. So
all those guys start playing, they're going to want paid.
You know, we're talking about that. We're hyper focusing on Dallas as a team with insanely high standards, but those are standards that were set. They've been set by the team. They've been set by the owner.
Yeah,
his goal is to win a Super Bowl, and if we get
whose
one.
Isn't?
That's my point. So, but not everyone is the Cowboys. Not everyone has a team like the Cowboys. You cite this regular season success, which is obvious and it's apparent and it's excellent. They're an excellent team. They finally won the division, and they're in a great spot. So the cards are in their favor right now. So my point is something's got to give. It's the same thing with Buffalo. Buffalo is in the same exact boat, and we're not talking about early 2000s, late 90s, where Buffalo went to the Super Bowl 4 times in a row and lost every time. It's just kicking the can down the road. And look at another example. Tom Brady went into Tampa, won the Super Bowl. The next season, they brought back 100% of the team. They were one of the only teams in NFL history to do that, and they still lost. So not many teams bring back the whole team, never mind a majority of it. And to say that, okay, it's not a complete loss if they still make the playoffs and get bounced. If they don't make the NFC Championship, at least, it's not a successful season. And someone has to take the fall for that, because if not, you're just repeating a cycle and kicking the can down the road, and eventually it's going to fall off. So I don't know, maybe McCarthy isn't the problem, but they have these stellar seasons. Dak Prescott has a career year, and if they lose in the playoffs, what was the point of all of that prior?
I mean, that's why you play the games. Only one team can win a Super Bowl every year.
And we're also looking at an unprecedented opportunity for Dallas, where Bill Belichick is on. There's a lot of
opportunity for San Francisco this year.
Bill Belichick is on the chopping block
for Detroit this year. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity for all of these good teams. Only one of them can win. I mean, there's other ways to view a season as successful. Are we going to be happy in Dallas if we don't go at least to the NFC Championship and win it? No, we're not. We obviously we want more, but you know what? It's still progress, and it's still something to hang your hat on. They could take this year and make the right offseason moves and do even better next year. They could be the next 16-0 team and then win a Super Bowl. I mean, it's like the point is McCarthy is still trending up in Dallas. And fan-wise, he's still trending up. You got some naysayers, you got some negative Nancy's, whatever. They're the same people that think that Dak's not the guy, even though he just put up an MVP caliber season. But those guys are always going to be negative. Those guys are going to be where you're at right now, Ray, where you think that they should win it all, otherwise blow it up. You can't. You got to keep building on your success. And they're having success. It's not the win it all success yet, but why would you take success and why would you bet out of the run?
Because betting the run is that they get bounced in the playoffs.
But they're doing more, so give them an opportunity to do more. It's like Dabs last week asking us why, how do you feel being a disappointment over and over every year? It's like, wait a minute, we're not a disappointment this year, at least not yet. You're asking the questions way too damn
again,
Sorry, fellas. Internet's been a real bitch tonight with the wind.
It's all good, bro.
There's 50-mile-an-hour winds here, so.
I don't know. I just
Again,
I think McCarthy's job is way safe. That's my point.
He'll be back next year, but
again, I think Jerry Jones is crazy, and if given the opportunity, if he can get Bill Belichick, with the Super Bowl history he has,
fuck out of here.
that could be it. That could be the. Do I think Bill's going to go anywhere and win? No, I don't.
The thing is,
I also know Jerry Jones is cut from a different cloth, and might do something crazy like that.
He's actually honestly if you look at Jerry Jones' history, his one of his downfalls is staying with his guys too long. Like that's the only reason that him and Jimmy cut ties way quicker than what was reasonable was because they were button heads. It was an ego thing,
That was the thing with Tennessee. Vrabel and the GM.
Yeah, Jerry and McCarthy have a great relationship. I mean, he's endorses him 1,000%, man. I mean,
McCarthy's a good coach.
Look how long he stuck with Jason Garrett, for God's sakes. Are you gonna tell me that McCarthy's out after 3 years, but Jason Garrett got to fucking clap his way for 8 years?
I think the league is different now than it was.
He did, dude.
Fuck, man.
I think the league is different now.
For 8 years, man.
I think the league is different now.
Jerry's not different though.
I think the success in the league is it's so flash in the panish. You know what I mean? Like, other than the Patriots, you really don't have repeat winners. So like the Chiefs are repeat winners, and in some years they're not even a team that makes it to the Super Bowl. The year prior might not even make the playoffs. Where for a while there it was pretty back during the Cowboys run, but it's a different league now where it ebbs and flows. It goes up and down so quick that I don't see him keeping McCarthy for 10 years if they don't get anything out of it. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, if he wins the Super Bowl this year, then obviously they broke through. They figured it out. But
my thing is with this whole conversation is that the Cowboys are having the best year, in my opinion, they've had in a long ass time, with CeeDee Lamb breaking all the records and Dak Prescott playing like he did in his rookie year. Everything, our defense, all that. I feel like it's too early to tell. And as far as defensive coordinator and all that, I feel like they have such a good relationship with the Cowboys defense, especially this year because, Deron Bland broke that record. And I feel like the defense really connecting, especially with Stephon Gilmore being up there too, and Micah Parsons. Like, the defense is so connected. Like, at Dallas, it really is like a family, and that's how it is with good teams. And I feel like he's one of those guys that is going to be connected on that level in a way. So I don't think he's going to want to leave anywhere unless he got like a really, really good fucking deal. And even then, like, he just looks so happy like what he's doing. He's always got a smile on his face when his team does good.
Flacco's living it up.
McCarthy is working out really well here in Dallas, and I don't think I don't even know how anybody could think that his job's in jeopardy. It's crazy to me.
But can we talk about the playoffs?
Playoffs?
Talk about playoffs?
Playoffs?
The playoffs now.
Nah, did you guys see the article?
Conversation's at.
I don't know if you saw Joe Flacco. Like Ray was saying, I get a lot more beat writer news in Cleveland than you guys would. Same for Dallas.
Right, yeah.
Joe Flacco has a $75,000 bonus, and if he plays every game he plays more than 50% of the snaps, or every game he wins, one of those two, I don't remember. Anyways, he was benched this weekend, so he wouldn't have got his bonus, but the Browns switched it for him to say as long as you're on the 53-man roster, you get your bonus. So, that was cool. They're treating him well. They knew.
Oh, that is cool.
Well, Cleveland's another team that wants to make a run at it. And their defense has been locked in all season. It was really the Deshaun Watson factor that you know, kind
Yeah,
of
they
kept
made a
them.
bad
bum.
choice at quarterback.
Pulled them
That's
back.
for sure.
Fucking bum. I can't stand Deshaun Watson.
What if they'd have had Flacco all year? Thank you, baby. What if they had Flacco all year?
I think it averaged out to be probably about the same.
Yeah,
You think so?
Yeah, he's not the god. He'll be the guy that for Cleveland maybe. I'm hoping I picked him to go Super Bowl, but I think it would be about the same.
that'd be insane. That'd be crazy.
Well, here let's we can start with Dabs because Dabs has got some hot Cleveland takes on his playoff bracket. So why don't we start with Dabs?
Okay.
And you show me you convince me that this is how the playoffs are gonna go, according to Daddy Dabs.
All right. We'll
That's
start.
bold.
We'll start with the AFC. I think Buffalo will win pretty far in. They'll go pretty far into the playoffs. I think Kansas City's not legit this year. I don't think. I'd like to see Miami win, but I think Kansas City will pull that one out. Browns will beat Texans. Ravens Browns is a tough one. I just living
They
in
beat them
the
once this season.
living in the AFC North Division area. I get a lot more like insight. I know a lot more than somebody living in Washington State. So.
Whereas a lot of people might think that Baltimore wins that game handedly.
It won't be
You're not
handedly.
only- Yeah, you're saying that they win it.
They'll
Nobody's
win it.
beat the Ravens handedly.
No.
Hmm?
Nobody's.
Oh
beat
yeah,
the
nobody
Ravens.
has. Yeah,
But
definitely.
the Browns, I think they won by a walk-off when they beat
They
them.
won by a walk-off. The Baltimore Ravens are a historic team. They are the only team in NFL history to lead every single game this season into the final 2 minutes of the game. Every single one.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah.
And
Cleveland's
also
taking-
every game they lost was less than a touchdown. And it was in the last 2 minutes of the game.
All right. Well, stats aside, Cleveland's going all the way, baby. But yeah, I picked Dallas for the NFC. I think Tampa Bay beats Philly in the first round.
Okay.
It'll be a Dallas San Francisco NFC championship, I believe.
You got that Dallas Lions rematch.
Yes.
Dallas
And
wins again.
if the Cowboys were to fail, I think it would be Dallas or Detroit. Sorry.
I might be biased. I have the same NFC championship. But I'm really worried Dallas sleeps on Green Bay.
I think
I
this
don't think
will be
Green
the
Bay
one
was
year that Dallas doesn't sleep on Green Bay.
I don't think they were I don't think they were expecting to face Green Bay. So it's going to be an interesting.
There's a lot of outside.
I think they get it done. I think they get it done, but I don't know.
Just like
It's a
with
strange-
the Washington game,
it's something to
I
be
don't
careful
think it's
of.
going to happen.
McCarthy's going to want to win.
Green Bay's
that
way
game.
better than Washington. Way better.
Well,
But
Yeah, they
McCarthy's
are
going to
better,
want to win
but-
that game.
in Firestorm, here's yours. You still have the same results though.
oh no,
you
I
still
do,
have-
but I'm just saying it's something to watch out for.
You can't count. I don't think you can count out any team. That's the one.
I'm not
that's
counting
the-
anybody out.
Yeah, I really don't. I think
Tampa
I'll
Bay
get
and
to this
Cleveland are
when
your
I talk
dark horse
about
teams this year.
my bracket, but Firestorm, go ahead. There's your bracket. Where do you see the differences versus Dabs?
I think the Rams take care of business against Detroit. I think they're gonna, play to. They have the advantage with how aggressive the play calling is. I think they capitalize on it. I see LA taking care of business. It's still a Matthew Stafford revenge game, even though he left and won the Super Bowl. He wants to prove that he is everything he's made out to be, and not just a plug and play quarterback that went to a Super Bowl caliber offense.
Take exactly what you just said and say Jared Goff's name instead.
Nope.
Right?
Matthew Stafford doesn't turn it over like Jared Goff. Jared Goff is still a turnover machine.
I'm saying from the chip on your shoulder, like I lost the Super Bowl for the Rams. They benched me. They sent me to Detroit to die, basically. That's why people got sent to Cleveland for the last 20 years. I don't know, man.
And
I
arguably,
don't
a lot
know.
of people.
Jared
thought
Goff's
that
got
the
a lot
I think
Stafford-
more.
LA has more momentum because the Detroit really, I mean, they're don't get me wrong, they're an excellent team, but their definitive wins were at the start of the season. Everything else has been up and down. I
Yeah,
think
they've
LA
been
is trending
down.
upward.
I think,
Much like how like the Eagles have been trending down, LA is trending up, in my opinion.
Right. I agree with that too. I do. I do like what, to Dab's point though, like the Stafford Goff trade. A lot of people kind of said, I think both teams won that trade.
They
And
did.
then Stafford
But-
goes out and wins the Super Bowl.
But
and
if
it's
you
like,
look, I think
well,
if you,
maybe LA won the trade.
yeah.
This is Goff's chance to prove that Detroit did not lose on that trade.
And I think it was more of the Lions trying to set up Stafford for success, and the Rams ditching Jared Goff because
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I think that was how the trade kind of worked out. I might be wrong. That's just my opinion, but I don't think there's bad blood between Stafford and the Lions. I think there's more bad blood between Goff and the Rams.
Oh, I would certainly think so.
Yeah, probably.
Will Stafford?
Another thing I want to
Stafford's a better
point out though, really quick. Tampa Bay they were trending upward. Obviously, they had that absolute dog crap loss against Atlanta where they should have locked it up at home and won the division, a week prior. But I don't think they have enough to go all the way. I love Baker Mayfield. I love the redemption arc. I love seeing that Tampa is still relevant post Brady. But I don't think they have it this season. I think they get rid of the Eagles. And once they do that, they put up a fight, but ultimately don't go all the way. And then they
I
try
gotta
and run
tell
it
you,
back,
like,
run it back next season.
If the Eagles show up, like we know they're at least capable of doing, Tampa Bay has like kicked their own ass getting here. I mean, Baker Mayfield was like in the post game interview that I saw with him. They were like, what's hurting? He was like, what's not hurting? Basically, like, I mean, they are beat up to the point where they couldn't even muster more than 9 points against Carolina. So they, man, when I get to mine, I have them winning, but man, those two teams right now are busted, and it is a coin flip who wins that game, in my opinion. I'm rooting for Tampa Bay, obviously.
I think we all are.
So,
Yeah.
what you got different on the AFC, though? You don't have any faith in Cleveland, obviously.
I don't know. I think I love the Flacco story. I really do. But I just don't foresee. I don't think it's sustainable. I really don't think they continue the momentum that they had. And I think Houston is kind of getting their mojo back a bit. So I think they
They're
take
getting
care of
healthier.
business.
They're getting healthier
it
at
is
the
a
right
rookie
time.
quarterback against a Super Bowl MVP quarterback. There's a lot of experience difference there.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's-
he's 38 years old.
Look,
32.
my knock on Houston is it's a young team that I don't know if they can handle the pressure
That's
of the
what I agree.
playoffs.
I agree.
That is my one knock on Houston, so I absolutely agree with that.
And I don't like Houston in general.
With these teams trending upward, I think Kansas City has kind of slipped under the radar. And I think that's to their advantage. They're not dealing with as much external pressure as they normally are. Because when they get the 1 seed or when they win, obviously they won their division, but when they're the odds on lockdown favorite, the pressure's on. But they get a really good opportunity against the Dolphins, who, by the by, have a worse record against teams 500 or over than the New England Patriots, who won 5 games all season.
Yeah.
So and I think them, full on BMing down their own legs against
bowel movement.
Against the Bills the other night at home, they just proved that they're not going to go win a cold weather game against Kansas City at Arrowhead. No shot.
Yeah.
No shot.
I agree.
So, and then the Bills beat the Steelers because the Steelers are frauds.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's trying to defend the Steelers at this point.
I like the Steelers. I like Mike Tomlin, but I just think they fall
They
apart.
only got here because a lot of other people lost.
They got here because a lot of other people lost. Pretty much. That's pretty much it. They're like, oh, cool, we made it.
They're just
I
happy
feel
to
like
be here.
most guys were booking their flights to go on vacation, and then they're like, oh shit, we're going to the playoffs. Oops.
They had like a 23% chance or some shit to get into the playoffs last week, and they got
I think
in.
it was like 26%. Like when their game started. It was insane.
But ultimately, I think I think Baltimore, they're an unstoppable force right now. It would be an absolute travesty if they choke it away here. I don't think they will.
And you have Lamar Jackson as your MVP, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think
If
most
they
people
win the
do,
Super
right?
Bowl, if they win the Super Bowl and he wins Super Bowl MVP, he could also win regular season MVP, which is hysterical.
He would win regular season before Super Bowl.
You're right.
Because the regular season will come
Those
out
NFL
sooner.
honors is like the day before, the week
But
before.
my point is, if they win the Super Bowl, he could probably get both, which is just insane.
Oh yeah.
I think
agree,
if he, let's just put it this way: if Lamar Jackson gets to and wins the Super Bowl, he'll win the Super Bowl MVP.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because there's nobody else. There's nobody else on Baltimore that could win it.
Unless you have some obscure wide receiver go for 200 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
it doesn't matter who threw to him.
But it's more impressive that a receiver would get 200 yards than a quarterback throwing for 200 yards.
Right. Yeah, but if he threw 200 yards to one receiver, he probably put up 350 and ran for another 100. Probably had 3 touchdowns total. Like, yeah, it's still Lamar Jackson. If the Baltimore Ravens win the Super Bowl, Lamar Jackson will be the Super Bowl MVP. I promise.
I agree. I agree with you.
There's nobody else on their team that's capable to win it.
Yeah, for the sake of argument, I'll bring up something else. But I do agree. If Lamar,
nobody wants to argue me right now. I'm on a roll.
I'll argue.
I'm kidding. All right, so he's got Baltimore. Let's go into Janu. Here's your bracket. Tell me where we're wrong. Tell me what you got.
There's a big statement I want to bring up at the beginning, and I feel like it's gone under a lot of people's radar because he's a newer player and he got injured for like 6 weeks. I almost wanted to take LA over San Francisco as an upset pick, but I didn't. And the reason why is because, like I've been telling Jason, Kyron Williams ended up as a top 5 running back in the league, and he missed like 6 weeks in the NFL. And in my personal opinion, I think that's a lot more a bigger deal than people make it out to be, because Kyron Williams' stats for the games that he played are insane. And I think in the following years, he's going to be near that top 2, top 3 running back level, maybe even closer to Christian McCaffrey, because his stats are nuts and he's healthy, and the Rams offense is there. They have Puka Nacua, star rookie wide receiver, a capable quarterback, and I just feel like it's a sleeper pick. Let's see.
But you still have San Francisco beaten LA.
Yeah, I think that, that's what I was saying, that I almost picked them to win that, but I didn't. I think that San Francisco's still the better team, but my point from all that is I think the Rams have a lot better team than people think they do, and that's why it was an easier pick for me on the Lions. Of course, with Eagles, I think that it's going to be an easy lose for them with how they've been playing and without the injuries. I don't think the Green Bay and Dallas game is going to be close. I think with the way that Dak's been throwing it to CeeDee Lamb lately, I think that's going to be a weakness. Green Bay is going to have to keep up with that offense, and their offense usually doesn't do anything that much anyways. Like sometimes Dobbs has a pop-off game, but for him, those are like 4 or 5 receptions. And I mean, what's CeeDee Lamb going to be getting during those games like that? I think our offense is going to be popping or motivated. I feel like that game's going to be at least win by 2 TDs. And I take Dallas winning just because I feel like it's finally time that we actually win. I feel like, I was talking about in the Discord, I feel like it's in the script. It's a good story if it is actually rigged for us to win here. And it would be fire, of course, to see him in the Super Bowl. unbiased. Um, I was really torn on the sorry, I can't talk, on the Browns and the Texans game because I really like both of those teams, and I feel like they're both good, and I kind of wanted to see them more in the end of the playoffs, but I still take the Texans over it just because C.J. Stroud coming back. Even though he doesn't have his boy, I feel like the offense is cooking, and I think they're going to pull up some upset wins, and the ball will just keep rolling. So the Bills are going to be a really tough match for them. The Browns are going to be a tough match for them. But I still think the Ravens are going to take it out just with how young the team is and how good the Ravens have been playing. I
Yeah,
mean,
eventually you got to take that experience. You got to take the experience eventually over the young talent because they'd have to be just phenoms to take such a young team that was such so far removed last year and change them all, go all the way to the Super Bowl in CJ Stroud's first year. Like, there's no way anybody can
be
build
hard.
on that.
Another big stat is that another reason why I picked them over the Bills and the Browns is because CJ Stroud has a really, really good record against teams that are winning, against teams that are good. He doesn't play as good against teams that are worse. He always brings it back at the end. He always does. And I feel like when it comes to that playoff time, I feel like that's when CJ Stroud shines, when he's forced to make those fourth down, third down big plays, when they're in play action. So I think they're going to be able to take it, but just not all the way. Of course, I mean, the Ravens and Miami game, that's probably going to be a blowout again. Maybe they won't lose by that much this time, but and I don't see the Chiefs getting far either. I've seen some weirdos putting the Chiefs getting up to the championship. I'm just like, no, it's not going to
No,
happen.
not this season.
Sorry,
Some
it's not going to
weirdos.
happen.
I like
Not
that.
not if
I
they
like that.
play Baltimore, especially. No
It's
chance.
usually Chiefs fans that are doing that because they're like, oh, Mahomes, Mahomes,
Well, and
Mahomes.
Swifties now.
Yeah, and Swifties, bro.
You
Yeah.
better hope it's
Never
not rigged.
underestimate
You
the
better
power
hope it's
of
not
the
rigged
Swifties.
because having Taylor Swift at the Super Bowl, it would be the NFL would be creaming their jeans. That
Super
gif of the
Bowl that
cable
she
company I
turned
put
down performing.
in the gif of the cable company I put in the Discord chat, that's going to be the NFL execs just watching them pan to Taylor Swift every 15 fucking seconds, just
Oh my God,
just
it would
boosting
be.
their ratings like the craziest
guys-
Super Bowl in history.
Did you guys see what Taylor Swift said about that? It was pretty funny. She was
No.
like, there's a camera a half a mile away that you don't know where it's at. You don't know how many times they're going to show you. So she's like, I don't know how many times I've pissed off Dad, Brad, and Chad when I keep interrupting their games.
Another note before
I don't know.
before we moved on is that I seen this just a couple hours ago that they're banning Matthew Stafford jerseys during that game, the LA versus Lions.
Oh wow.
They don't want any. I guess since it's a serious playoff game, they're going to take it super serial, and so I don't know how they're enforcing that, but that's weird to me. I think just let people wear what they want to wear. I think it'd be funny, but I get why. They want it to be like an environment.
Are you sure
They
that's
wanna
not
win.
a meme?
No,
That
I
can't be real.
saw Pat McAfee, I think his name is, talking about it on his podcast. So I didn't watch the whole thing. It could be, but I don't think he would talk about something if it was fake.
You saw a clip out of context and
Could be fake news, but I don't think so.
That'd be funny though. It would be. Well, I tell you, I don't differ in a lot of ways from you guys, but in a couple ways I do.
This is better than Dabs is, honestly.
This is my freaking.
Ew,
This is
Getting
a
the
90s.
throwback. There's
This
no
is
shot.
the throwback freaking year, ladies and gents. We already have the San Francisco Dallas rivalry, which was so thick back in the day. And look, I love Detroit, and I actually, if Dallas can't win the Super Bowl this year, I'm actually rooting for Detroit. Like, so the fact that I'm picking Detroit to lose versus LA just shows how much I respect the sharp trending up that LA did at the end of their season, whereas Detroit and just I think LA won that trade, and Stafford, like, I don't know, Detroit is Detroit, and I think they're going to be Detroit again this year when it really comes to nut cutting time, just like they did against the Cowboys. So, and obviously I got the Cowboys over Green Bay. That's again pretty easy. I agree with just about everything Janu said on that one. Which
I
which
think it's a
brings
game Mike McCarthy will not let himself lose.
Oh yeah, there's way too much recent history with Green Bay over Dallas early rounds of the playoffs over the last like 15 years or so, going back to the Des Bryant it was a catch, and like there's just this is a it's not a revenge game from any sort of like certain players or anything like that, but this is almost like a revenge culture game. It's like, this is the team, like, in comparison, the Rangers had it back in 2010 when they played the Yankees in the league championship. It was like, this is our team that we just can't ever get by recently. And I think this is the year that they do it. They did it. They kind of had a similar situation last year in the first round of the playoffs where they went up against Tom Brady, who the Dallas had never lost to, or Dallas had never won against. Tom Brady was perfect against the Cowboys. He had never lost to the Cowboys until that game, and we sent him into retirement. This is kind of that same, like, Dallas handles Green Bay handedly. And then I've got San Francisco beating LA and Dallas beating Tampa Bay, and boom, another old school rivalry, Dallas and San Francisco.
I would love to watch the Bills make the Super Bowl and lose. That would be so funny.
Dude,
it would be so funny. But I think the most accurate part of this prediction is, like, the only plausible part of this prediction is Dallas winning the Super Bowl, because there's not a shot the Bills get past. There's no shot. No shot the Bills are making the Super Bowl. No, not a chance.
Who's better shot, the Bills or the Browns?
Here's the
Bills,
thing.
Bills versus Browns, I'm taking the Browns, but actually no, I'm sorry. The Browns versus the Bills, I'm taking the Bills.
What?
The Browns versus the Bills versus the Ravens, I am taking the Ravens every day of the week. I will bet $500 on the Ravens to win that game. Like,
well, don't let my bracket influence you. I don't want that.
I think
on
it
my
is
head.
way more plausible that Dallas makes and wins the Super Bowl than the Bills making the Super Bowl in general.
Well,
the Bills are a mess. I don't care that they're trending upwards. They're a mess. They're going to fall apart.
Agreed.
Yeah, there's some local bias there. They are trending upward. At least you admit that, and that's where I've got. I do have Cleveland over Houston. I think that the Cleveland's defense holds strong against Houston's powerful offense, and Joe Flacco musters just enough magic to make it one more round. I think
400 yards to Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I think that he ultimately loses to the Bills because the Bills are trending upward. They are a more complete team. They are a team that is desperate to get over the hump and have some success.
So it's Cleveland.
No. Cleveland, as much as I want to root for them, they're a hodgepodge team right now. They've got they're on their fourth quarterback. They got a wide receiver that can go off for 300 freaking yards in a game, but nobody else. It's just they're not. They have a huge defense, and that's it. And I don't think defense is enough anymore. I think you have to have the complete team. A lot of people, the old cliche, defense wins championships. No, defense only gets you to a championship. You got to have a good offense too. This is a quarterback league. A good defense only gets you so far, and that's all. That's the majority of what Cleveland is riding. Um, the only thing about my bracket that I actually really don't like right
Thank you,
now
Brian.
is the Dolphins KC game, because I had the Dolphins winning that game. I think KC is I think the mini dynasty of Kansas City is over. Patrick Mahomes is still got an opportunity to rival some people for top 5 quarterbacks in the leagues of all time, but I think they need to build their team back up. And I think this is the first time that they lose at home in the playoffs.
I like what Brian
But
said.
hang on.
Njoku's been tearing it up
Yep.
since Flacco got here. You got to think Flacco had Mark Andrews for a long time, so now he has Njoku.
That's is Andrews coming back for the playoffs? That's another question.
He should
Should
be
be.
able to at some point. Yeah.
Yeah, if that's the case, that should be huge for Lamar Jackson as well. I did. So anyway, what I was gonna say though, I did hear that it's gonna be like 0 degrees in Kansas City for that game, and so now I'm kind of regretting
Yeah,
my
there's-
Miami pick.
No chance Miami goes to Arrowhead and wins. No shot.
But what about Tyreek?
Now-
Huh? That's interesting.
That's a good point, but Tua's throwing the ball to him.
Yeah, that's a better point.
The Chiefs are just so
it's still-
booty, bro.
Yeah, it still is. It still is. I think Miami's the better team, and Tyreek will get off on being in Kansas.
They're the better
City.
team on paper for sure, but Patrick
Yeah,
Mahomes
I
is
mean,
just
yeah, they're the better
freak.
team on paper. That's what I'm saying. They're
But-
in. Eventually, the whole okay. I know they can't win a game in the cold. Eventually they win one. And why wouldn't it finally be right now against the Kansas City team that's beat up? They don't have any studs. Kelsey's not playing. He has not been superstar Kelsey all season. Like this is the year. This is the year where it makes sense for Kansas City to fizzle out of the first round and disappear. I think they'll be back.
No,
Like this-
normally,
we haven't
under
seen the end
normal
of Kansas
circumstances,
City.
I'd agree. Under normal circumstances, I'd agree. But again, my point is, their expectations are lower than what they are normally, and again, Miami is they set the precedent. I think they really showed their true colors against the Bills, where they can't get it done. They can have a flashy offense. They have Tyreek run like a maniac all over the field, but Tua's still going to turn the ball over. Tua's still going to get sacked left and right. And they really can't contain Patrick Mahomes.
Look, I'm only expecting them to put everything that they have together for one game, and so I don't think it's too far fetched. I think they can do it, and I think a Kansas City team that's probably the worst Kansas City team we've seen in 6 years. I think this is the year that Kansas City goes out in the first round instead of going to the end. Because you let them win this game. I don't know, man. They could make it a lot further.
They're not getting through Baltimore, but
they're like
they could make it to Baltimore.
Yeah,
and that's something that none of us have picked.
I feel like they're in the early stages of what the Patriots were in the mid 2000s. I don't know, just me. Outside looking in, I don't know all the New England. I just feel like Mahomes is up there talent wise. He's not Tom Brady, but he's up there. He's skilled, and it's I don't know. There's always going to be in it.
That's an interesting take, and I don't 100% disagree, but I don't think it's the same league that it was in the early 2000s.
I just think that
No, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm saying like dynasty wise.
the Chiefs' offense, more than anything, is a reason why I didn't pick them, because I think their offense is just going to fall apart like they have in the past couple weeks. And if their offense can't put up points, they're not going to be able to win. Like, yeah, Miami's going to play worse under the conditions, but I think Chiefs are just going to crap out.
I just think the difference between Patrick Mahomes and Tua in this case, it's the Lamar factor, where Patrick Mahomes is the difference maker on the field, and he elevates the players around him. So even though he doesn't have any superstars right now, all they have to do is double team Tyreek, and that takes away half of Tua's options.
Mhm.
And if he's going to force it into double coverage, yeah, he might hit the window every now and then, but eventually he's not going to.
Yeah, but
And
don't
they
forget
proved that
that
against the
this,
Bills. The Bills turned the
the-
ball over 3 times and still lost the game. Still won the game. So I really do not. It's the same. It's the same factor as Dallas being undefeated at home. I don't see the Packers going in and upsetting it. Much like Miami that has more going against them in this case. Cold weather game at Arrowhead.
Yeah, but Arrowhead is vulnerable. The Bills proved that. Other teams, lots of teams have proved that this year.
The
Arrowhead
Raiders
During the regular
beat 'em
season.
Raiders.
and home game. So that's how that went.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah, the fucking
they
Vegas.
lost to the Bills
And
just a
Vegas.
couple weeks ago. They almost lost to the Bengals. They lost to the Raiders. They lost to the Packers, and they lost to the Eagles when they were still playing at least decent at that time. But like they've had so many losses at the end of the season, whereas Miami's I feel like got a little bit more momentum. Like Tua's healthy for the playoffs. Last year they didn't
and Hill
have
is
that.
back to being healthy too.
So, like, yeah, you can double team Tyreek all they want, but the Dolphins also have a really good ass defense too. So
I'm just
it
saying.
goes both
I
ways.
saw the report. I saw the cold weather coming in.
I was gonna suck for
and-
sure.
and-
It's
and
gonna
I-
suck.
And I wanted to change my pick to Kansas City, but I said, you know what? No, I think Miami still can squeak this one out. I really think they can.
Watch it be
Yeah.
one of those weird games where it's like 13-10 or some shit.
Hey,
And I bet you
Two
the
were-
number one thing on Miami's mind right now is getting back into another game with Baltimore or with Buffalo, because they're not going to be happy with how they played against Buffalo with their division on the line. And I guarantee you they want an opportunity to rematch. They're going to play that game harder than Kansas City is even capable of playing it.
It's hard to like pick against Kansas just because of their past prior history in the playoffs, Like
That's
they
why
always
everybody's
win,
picking them. Right. That's why everybody's they're the easy pick. They're at home. They're the 3 seed.
But just like the Patriots back then, like you can't bet against them. You
I'm
don't
betting
really
against
you don't necessarily want them to win it all, but you also think like Patrick Mahomes, like you don't know. You don't. Now the difference between Mahomes and Brady is Brady can take mediocre receivers and make them very good.
Mahomes mentioned.
Mahomes is not there yet. He's not there yet. We'll see. Verdict's still out on that one. But I think that's the difference right
Mahomes
now.
in and of himself is a weapon, though.
Yes. He's more
He's
of a
just
mobile
such a
threat than
freak.
Brady.
He's a freak. It's ridiculous what he does. But I don't know.
He's the next
done it a lot
generation
less
of Brady.
this year, though. He's done it a lot less this year. Because he doesn't have the weapons and the talent around him. And you know what? In this playoffs, he still doesn't.
Hey, Kelsey's come out and said he's considered retirement. So he said that like I feel all of my surgeries and that, like I'm hurting. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's gonna become a trad wife for Taylor Swift.
Honestly,
He's a groupie. Yeah.
I mean,
You
I would
saw-
too. Let's be honest. But
you saw a lot of, although Gronk had probably a little bit longer of a career where he was at the top of his game and at the top of the league than Kelsey has. You saw the same thing with Gronk. Once he was
Cyclical.
beat the frick up to where he had a sharp decline in how much he could contribute. He was hurt every other game, or he was a decoy every other game because he was hurt and they didn't want to tell anybody how hurt he was.
I feel like the last 2 years of Gronk's career was more off of namesake than it was pure talent that he still had. I don't know. Ray can probably attest.
I mean, he was still pretty. He was
was
still pretty-
decent, but he
was
wasn't
decent in
like-
Tampa.
like
Like
in a
he
name.
wasn't.
Though.
He wasn't elite. I mean, the first. So prior to his injury, that first year with Tom in Tampa, he was like the fantasy leader for a while.
Was he?
And then he got hurt, and then he kind of went back to the middle of the pack. But, you know, Gronk is a totally different entity.
Yeah, he's just the
you're-
closest
you-
person
you're
I
better-
can compare Kelsey
You're
to.
you're better. No, you're better off comparing Kelsey to Mark Andrews and George Kittle, because they all have similar longevity. They're all very similar skills. Obviously,
So would
Kelsey
you say
is
Gronk is
incredible.
more of like a Tony Gonzalez?
I don't know. I feel like Kelsey's been doing it longer and better than Mark Andrews and Kittle.
Mark Andrews gets hurt a fuck ton.
He gets hurt a lot, but
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Kelsey is kind of.
I don't know if you can
the
really compare him
closest
to
thing I
Gronk,
can
though, because
compare
Gronk,
to
Gronk in
Gronk.
his prime is way above Kelsey in his prime.
Right, but
agree with that.
that's
agree
what
with
I was saying initially when I said it, though, is the longevity of it. Like, but the numbers that Kelsey has put up over the last several years are Gronk numbers. He just didn't do it for as long as Gronk did it.
Right.
And Mark
and-
Andrews isn't there yet. And
But
and
another reason to
George
compare him to
Kittle
Mark
never
Andrews
did
is
get
because
there.
Kelsey, aside from the years with Tyreek, has been Mahomes' number one target. Much like in Baltimore, Mark Andrews has been Lamar's safety blanket, and he's his number one receiver since, as long as he's healthy, as long as both of them are healthy. So
It was crazy. I just thought of this. I'm sorry, Ray. But like
No, it's okay.
the greats, they all have a great tight end, like
yeah. Oh, tight end is
Brady
it
had
really
Gronk,
is a game
Lamar
changing.
has Andrews, Mahomes has Kelsey. Fucking I don't know who else. That's about it, I guess.
All the good teams have that great tight end safety blanket. I mean, you got.
I would
Romo
say
had Witten.
Romo
so.
had
I would
Witten.
say tight end is one of if not the most important positions on the offense, because they're not only do they run routes and catch passes, but they also have blocking routes they have to know. So
Yeah.
it's a big brain position.
If you get a tight
obviously
end
quarterback
that
is the
can
most
do
important.
the wide receiver role and the blocking role,
And now you have
the best tight end
a
in the
nasty
league.
hybrid with you get these really big dudes that are just gigantic wide receivers that are playing tight end. Like look at TJ Hawkinson. TJ Hawkinson is, if he was a little bit smaller, he would just be a wide receiver, but because he's so big and he is such
He can block
such a
too.
force, he's a tight end.
It was like
So-
Njoku. Same thing.
And Njoku's
Yeah,
another one. He's super
yeah.
fast, but he's huge.
Yeah, he's
He's
quick.
I like
He's
Njoku.
agile, but he's also got size to him. So
I've loved
that's-
Njoku since he was in Miami Hurricanes. College.
Brian just said it in the comments. This is actually a big tight end class coming up in this upcoming draft.
Yes,
Everyone's
who was
talking about quarterbacks, but there are a couple of big prospect tight ends.
it? Was it?
So.
That was last year's. Mike Mayer was last year's, right?
Yep, and Laporta.
Laporta was last year. There's another big. I know. I have to look it up. Brian's right. There is a big name tight end out there this year. I don't remember who it is, but
We'll find out when he gets drafted. What else, guys? We talked about our parlays already, although I didn't show the graphic, and I can.
We lost.
But why we lost, right? I gotta put something into the Discord about playoff pick'ems. Hopefully, I'm gonna get that posted tomorrow, and get some participation there.
Brian, check that out.
Oh, speaking of college,
Michigan.
yeah, we have a new national champ.
That's my team.
I was going to talk
Is it
about this
really?
in my extra point.
If I grew up, I have family in Ann Arbor, around Ann Arbor, so I grew up loving Michigan. I fell in love with Michigan when Chad Henne and Mike Hart were there. When they made their run, it was number 1 Ohio State against number 2 Michigan. Ohio State won, unfortunately, but yeah, I like the Wolverines. If I had to cheer for college, I prefer the NFL, but if I had to cheer for college, it'd be Michigan. But
Me too, but
See,
I'm
that's
a,
me
I'm a
too.
Bulls fan. I like
I'm
Tennessee.
not. I don't do college. I don't do
Yeah.
college at all.
Unless it's draft purposes, I don't care about college.
I don't even pay attention to the draft and stuff. That's one of the bad things that I'm trying to work on, especially going into next year with our keeper league and everything, is I need to get more involved in the draft and figure out some of these people because we have this career fantasy football league now, and it's like, man, I got to get better at this. But I don't have any loyalties in any college. I didn't go to college. I live in Texas, so as close as any Texas team can get to the national
Longhorns.
championship, I'm rooting for whoever it
this
is.
one?
So it was the Longhorns this year. But me and my family, I'm from Michigan. So, like, I have a lot of family that were rooting for Michigan in this game, and I was right there alongside of them because, I mean, hell yeah, go blue.
Yeah.
But usually if I'm even talking about college, I'm usually talking about TCU or, you know, just, you know, I don't even really care. You know, Texas, great.
Same. I prefer for just a good college football game, close, high scoring, like fun to watch.
Yeah, I'll root for
I don't give a
Tech.
shit who it is.
The only ones I won't root for is Texas A&M. But
You're not a Manziel fan?
Yeah, no, I'm out. I've
Billy
got some
Manziel?
personal reasons why I don't do A&M. But yeah, I'm out. That's about the only Texas school I'm out on. Usually
Yes,
I'm
Brian.
a Longhorn or a TCU fan.
You a Vince Young fan? Were you a Vince Young fan?
That was the greatest college football game I've ever watched in my life.
It was so good.
That
So
was
good.
such an incredible game, bro. When Longhorns beat UNC, what was that, 2005?
Yeah,
Six?
USC.
All right, what did I say?
UNC.
Oh, USC. Yeah, I knew who I was talking about. Yeah, USC. When they beat them in the national championship, that was, dude. I was at the bar and it was so crazy, bro.
Yeah.
I was at a country bar too, so it was even like, I don't know what about country bars and college football go together, but my God, was it rowdy. And yeah, that was such an amazing game. And I didn't know shit about college football when I watched that game. So I was like instantly a Longhorn fan for a while. But yeah, it's fun though when you got a dog in the hunt. I just usually don't.
Yeah, heard that.
You know. So Alabama's when they're, you know, when the Alabamas and Floridas are playing for the national championship, I could give two shits.
I gotta take a potty break, so we're gonna end this, or just what are we doing?
No, I think it's time to end it.
So
Alrighty.
I'll add the extra point to the Michigan discussion just really quick. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Harbaugh should come back to the league. He should come back and be a head coach." I don't think so.
don't either.
People seem to forget he was completely embarrassed in
Yeah.
San Francisco. I
Just
think
Nick
Michigan's
Saban.
gonna.
Upside there.
I think Michigan's gonna offer him like 10 years, $120 million, and he's just gonna ride it out there. So
Yeah, I agree with that. I think he's already had enough of the NFL. He's not his brother. His brother loves the NFL. He loves college.
yeah,
It's okay to be different. He's going to make just as much money over there. You know, he really is. There's no reason for him to jump over. I've heard a lot of that lately, and I feel like he's a very popular discussion every year. You know, or at least any year that Michigan does okay. You know, they're like, is this the year that he comes back to the NFL? And I don't see it happening, honestly.
not me either.
It's just like, it's kind of like Saban at this point.
Sorry,
Is Saban ever going to come into the NFL?
I know you didn't wash your hands.
No, I didn't.
All right, at least he owns it.
Okay, Mr. Nurse.
Janu, you got an extra point for us today.
Why'd you call me out like that?
Shit, man, it is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, man.
Oh. Well,
Yeah.
Go Texans, go Cowboys.
I
Go
guess
Browns.
my extra point is it's going to be a retro 90s playoffs, boys. Get ready for it.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
Welcome to the dog pound, boys.
Y'all have a great week. We'll see you next week when we talk about how the super wild card round of the NFL went. Gentlemen, be good. We'll see you.